My husband shouted, "You'll never find someone like me." I turned and said, "That's the point." I left the key on the table, packed a small bag, and let the door do the talking. Silence hit harder than any argument. And for once, he finally heard me. My husband, Tyler, 34, ground out, "You'll never find someone like me." "That's the point," I said. Set the key on the table, packed a small bag, and let the door say the rest. An hour earlier, he'd been folding light linen shirts into a cream weekend suitcase. Not the usual black overnight backpack, a getaway set. "Another manager's summit, Tyler?" I asked. He muttered he was flying to Austin for quarterly planning. I already knew. A 5-star booking at the Mirador in San Antonio for 2. His name and Melanie, 31, his mentor. When I said it out loud, he didn't look guilty, just irritated. "Stop snooping in my emails." I saw the email open on his tablet. Either he wanted me to see or he'd grown sloppily cocky. "Childish jealousy," he laughed, tucking silk pajamas into the case. That night at a team dinner, he cracked a loud joke about my control and meltdowns. The room laughed. I didn't. The thing about humiliation is it clarifies. At 2:11 a.m., I opened my notes app and wrote a list titled Quiet Exits. Under it, remove spare key from visor, screenshot Amex travel itinerary, photograph suitcase contents, AirTag my own bag, call Eva at 9 o'clock. Eva is my friend and a paralegal who lives by timestamps. She owns a brother labeler and a calm voice. I added check lease, check title, check who actually pays what. I fell asleep with the list open like a lighthouse on my nightstand. At 7:08 a.m., coffee bitter and black, I watched Tyler in gym shorts pace the kitchen. "Flights moved up," he said, kissing the air near my cheek. My phone buzzed with a Mirador concierge confirmation. Spa for 2, 4 p.m., eucalyptus steam. The note said, "Anniversary vibe. Our anniversary is in November. It's May." He grabbed his cream suitcase and the tan-dop kit I bought him last Christmas. He didn't take the black backpack. I didn't cry. I pulled the file box from the hall closet, the blue one with a crack down the lid, and laid out its contents like playing cards. Our lease, both names, the Subaru title mine, the joint account opened at my bank because he hated paperwork, and the Amex where he's an authorized user. Authorized user, not joint, not owner. I took a photo of the card back and the customer service number. I took another of the lease clause about exclusive quiet enjoyment. At 8:56, Eva texted, "I'm on." We FaceTimed so she could see my hand sign and date a simple inventory. TV, stand mixer, my grandmother's cedar chest. "Send me the Mirador email," she said. I forwarded it with the subject, "Mentor trip, proof." She told me to breathe, then said, "If he wants no accountability, give him exactly that. Boundaries are not drama." At 9:14, I slid Tyler's spare key off the visor and dropped it into a snack-size Ziploc labeled with today's date. I set my small bag by the door, toothbrush, 3 shirts, charger, passport. I wasn't running. I was documenting. I took pictures of the front door lock and the scratches on the frame from last year's move because Eva likes before shots. I emailed myself everything. At 10:02, I opened our group chat, Summit Spouses, and typed, "Anyone else's mentor book matching suites?" Then I deleted it. Instead, I DM'd the only person who ever looked me in the eye at those dinners, Raj's wife, Priya. I wrote, "Could you confirm if Melanie is attending in San Antonio?" She replied with a screenshot of an Instagram story. A manicured hand over a boarding pass, tag at Mirador Spa, song Loveful. The name bar on the pass said Melanie C. At noon, I walked to the hardware store on Ash and bought 2 Kita-like locks and a satin nickel deadbolt. The clerk cut me 4 keys. "New place?" he asked. "New quiet," I said. Back home, I laid the hardware on the dining table next to the blue file box and Tyler's vase of eucalyptus that always made me sneeze. I opened a YouTube tutorial, then another showing the latch orientation. It took 19 minutes to swap the front deadbolt and 23 to change the back door. I kept the old locks in a grocery bag with today's date, because paper trails talk softer but last longer. 2:40 my phone pinged. Landed. Tyler texted. A minute later, service might be spotty. Then a photo. A lobby chandelier like a champagne explosion. I stared at the reflection in a lacquered table. 2 people, 1 cream suitcase. I answered, "Have a productive planning session." He sent a thumbs up. The 3:05 I called Amex. "I'd like to remove an authorized user and lower the limit to $1,000 until statements are reviewed," I said. The rep asked security questions only I could answer. She confirmed the removals. "Any reason?" "Travel I didn't consent to," I said. She read back the time. 3:12 p.m. I wrote it on my inventory sheet. I Venmo requested Tyler $482.19 with the memo utility share, April/May. The request was green, pending. At 4:33 Priya sent me a new story. 2 flute glasses by a rooftop pool. The caption Mentor Magic. I muted Melanie's account and saved the video anyway. Receipts are boring until they're not. At 5:20 I stepped into the shower and let the water drum out the last of the tremor in my hands. When I came out, the condo smelled different. Quieter. As if the eucalyptus couldn't compete with the nickel glint of new keys on the hook. I put my original key on the table the way you do when a rental ends, and I called Eva again. "Locks changed," I said. Card access adjusted. Inventory started. She said, "Good. Now eat something." At 6:02 I plated leftover pasta and listened to the radiator tick. My phone buzzed with a message from Tyler. "Hey, did you do something to the card? Embarrassing. Fix it." I typed. "I removed an authorized user pending review. Authorized is not joint." He replied, "You're so dramatic." I wrote, "No, I'm quiet." At 7 o'clock I set my phone face down and the new keys on top of the blue file box. The apartment finally sounded like itself. Not empty, accurate. I folded 1 shirt into my small bag. Then another. I left the third on the chair. I waited for the next ping and practiced not flinching. I checked into an extended stay with a kitchenette and a humming mini-fridge, paid for 2 weeks up front, and moved my small bag into a cabinet like it was a vault. First task. I transferred 60% from our joint account, funded mostly by my paycheck, into my solo savings, leaving $1,200 behind for gas and groceries. No, she left me penniless fables. I exported the statement to PDF, saved it to a folder called receipts_0521, and emailed it to myself and to Dana Rose, the attorney who'd warned me 6 months ago when Mentor started sounding like code. "File now. Have him served at the hotel tomorrow morning," I said when Dana picked up. She didn't gasp or preach. She asked for the Mirador room number, 1227, the itinerary number, and whether my condo was premarital. 7 years in my name, I said. "Good. We'll talk appreciation later. For now, lockdown access, no engagement," Dana said. She sent an intake link and a retainer, $3,500 by card. I paid it at 7:41 p.m., screenshot the confirmation, and forwarded Priya's Instagram evidence in a zipped folder. I fell asleep in my clothes after 2 slices of pizza and woke at 9:20 a.m. to a phone doing coyote howls. 14 missed from Tyler, 6 from Melanie, 3 from his mother, 1 unknown. First voicemail. "Tyler, strangled. What did you do? A guy just served me divorce papers in the room. In front of Melanie." Second, louder. "Low blow. You're humiliating me at work." Third, wet. "Come talk, please." I saved them, transcribed them, then dragged them into receipts_0521/voicemails. Text from a number I didn't have saved. "Be professional. Be an adult." Melanie had forgotten to block her caller ID. I created a contact named Mentor, document only, muted it, and archived the thread. Dana texted, "Process server confirms." Next, utilities, car insurance, joint streaming, anything he can weaponize. At 9:34 I called Centerpoint to split the gas. They said the account was already in my name. I added a password phrase, "Cedar Chest." At 9:47 I logged into the auto policy and removed him as a driver on the Subaru I own. Premium dropped by $41.23 per month. I printed the ID cards. At 10:02, I moved my direct deposit to my solo checking and reduced the joint account auto-transfer to $0. I left the $1,200 untouched. I'm not funding a rooftop pool. By 10:30 came the chorus. His mom left a syrupy voicemail. Marriage is a journey. This is a bump. Don't involve courts. I saved it under chorus. His friend Max texted, financially abusive to strand him, followed by a Venmo request for $88 with the memo emotional damages. Bro night. I declined and screenshotted both. Priya sent, are you safe? I replied, yes, paperwork in motion. She sent a heart and a photo of Melanie's poolside toes with the caption Mentor Magic, freshened to mentorship. At 11:12 Tyler finally texted, reverse this. At 11:13, my card got declined at breakfast. Fix it. At 11:14, you're making a scene. I typed, authorized user access removed May 21st 3:12 p.m. statements under review. Use your own card. He sent a selfie from a hallway mirror, shirt half-buttoned, eyes furious. Behind him, a door that looked like 1227. I filed it. Dana called it noon. Sheriff's return of service is uploaded. Next, I'm filing a temporary restraining order on assets standard. Expect a hearing date within 2 weeks. I asked about the condo. Will stipulate exclusive use and possession to you pending final orders. Change nothing structural. Photograph every room. Inventory by serial number. I opened notes and started. TV. Samsung Q60TSN ending 3392. Stand mixer. KitchenAid. Empire Red. Cedar chest. Handwritten note under lid. At 12:33 the hotel front desk called my phone. How they got it I can guess. Ma'am, your husband has asked us to verify there's been a mistake. I said, there hasn't. Please note in his folio that any charges to my card are unauthorized. The clerk paused, then said, understood. 15 minutes later Tyler's mom texted, we're coming to talk tonight. I replied, don't. Locks changed. Email only. She sent, heartless. I wrote, accurate. At 1:10 I forwarded everything to a new Gmail labeled case. Filters on, stars for legal. I booked an appointment at the bank for 3:30 to remove the joint's overdraft link to my solo account. In the lobby, a ficus shadow trembled on carpet while a banker named Luis printed forms. He's not joint on this, correct? He asked. Authorized user, I said. Luis nodded and typed. I signed twice, initialed once. Time-stamped. 3:47 p.m. At 4:22, a final ping from Tyler. You could have just talked to me. I wrote. You told me last night I'd never find someone like you. You're right. I chose not to. Then I placed my phone face down, chopped a bell pepper on the kitchenette's glass cutting board, and let the room's little fridge hum like a metronome for the next life. 2 weeks later, we were called at 8:30 a.m. Fluorescent lights and a humming exit sign. Tyler filed an emergency restraining order accusing me of coercion and financial control. He arrived with a shark in a navy suit, hair intentionally unstyled, eyes damp, a curated ruin. I sat with Dana Rose, spine straight, blue file box at my feet, 4 tabs labeled. Mirador, finance, lease, chorus. Their opening script was theater. She vanished in the night, the attorney intoned. She emptied accounts, changed locks, is selling my client's home, and created a hostile scene at his work summit. He placed a photo of Tyler looking wrecked in a hotel hallway, shirt half-buttoned, that same mirror selfie he texted. He'd repurposed his own performance as evidence. Dana rose like a metronome on one. Respondent's narrative omits the paper trail. She held up the Mirador confirmation for 2, with anniversary vibe, and the 4 p.m. eucalyptus steam. She produced my May 21st email telling Tyler he could remain in the condo while I stayed elsewhere. Exclusive quiet enjoyment clause highlighted. She clicked to a bank statement showing I left $1,200 in the joint account. which was drained to 14 cents within 22 hours by ATM withdrawals and a pool bar charge. She slid in Priya's time-stamped Instagram story. 2 flutes by a rooftop, caption, mentorship. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s with a silver bob and perfect reading glasses, asked clean questions. Is Mr. Tyler employed? Dana, yes, director level, $148,000 base, bonus eligible. Is he without housing? Dana, no. Texts show he elected to stay with a friend, Max, rather than return to petitioner's separate property. The judge lifted our lease. Condo titled to wife before marriage? 7 years premarital, Your Honor, Dana answered. He is neither on the title nor loan. He's been an authorized user on a credit card, not a joint owner. Shark tried a pivot. Your Honor, the locks were changed unilaterally. Dana nodded. Yes, after he demanded no accountability and attempted to access funds for a leisure trip with a subordinate. We notified him by email at 5:21 p.m., retained a locksmith receipt, and kept his belongings undisturbed. We offered scheduled retrieval with a neutral third party. She handed over the locksmith invoice and my inventory sheet with serial numbers. Samsung Q60T ending 3392, KitchenAid mixer in Empire Red, cedar chest with note under lid. Any evidence of threats or stalking? The judge asked. Shark hesitated. He feels unsafe. Dana slid a transcript of voicemails. Low blow. Fix it. You're humiliating me. Come talk, please. The judge read, then said, feelings aren't threats. Her tone never rose. Shark tried the work angle flourish. She had him served in his hotel room in front of colleagues. It harmed his professional reputation. Dana didn't blink. Service was at 9:08 a.m., with process servers return attached. Attendance at a romantic resort with a subordinate during a purported manager summit is a self-inflicted reputational risk. Also, there's no company policy forbidding service, and petitioner did not contact his employer. She added an HR email. No complaint found. No policy violation identified. HR ticket hashtag A2219. The judge skimmed it and nodded. Request for emergency protection denied, the judge said, voice like a stamp. This is a divorce dispute. No evidence of harassment, violence, or credible fear. I see credible evidence Mr. Tyler has pestered petitioner's family members instead. Temporary orders will maintain status quo. Wife retains exclusive use of the condo. No dissipation of assets. Neither party shall harass, intimidate, or disparage the other. Hearing on temporary support set for June 28th at 9 a.m. Her gavel was a soft tap. We filed out into the hall. The air smelled like hand sanitizer and old carpet. Tyler stood by the elevator with his attorney, face blank, rage simmering under glass. He didn't look at me so much as through me. Get me the house. He hissed to his lawyer, as if houses were conjured by tantrum. Dana leaned close, voice low. Breathe now. I did. It felt like the first full inhale in weeks. The kind that loosens your shoulders and makes your ears ring. My phone buzzed, Priya. Saw the docket update. Proud of you. I texted. Denied. She sent back a tiny gavel. By the stairs, Max hovered, pretending to read a notice board. He muttered as I passed. Heartless. I paused, looked at him and said, accurate paperwork isn't heartless. He flushed the color of supermarket salmon. In the parking lot, I opened my trunk and set the blue file box down like a sleeping child. The wind kicked up a receipt, pinned it to my ankle, hotel breakfast, $48.60, card declined. I smoothed it flat, slid it into chorus, and locked the car. The sun felt different, not warmer, just honest. I took another breath and let the courthouse doors close behind me without looking back. Sarah, my realtor, is a sprinter. She walked the condo on a Tuesday with a clipboard, ordered matte white touch-up, a fiddle leaf fig, and a neutral rug to hide the scuffs by the balcony slider. By Friday, staged, shot, listed. The photos made my kitchen look like it had always been this bright. We held a Saturday open. By Sunday night, a clean, Over-ask, no contingency offer from a young couple who whispered to each other in the second bedroom and kept touching the sill like it was a pet. I signed, then texted Dana, "Buyer secured. Closing in 21 days. Monday morning, the stall arrived. Tyler's lawyer e-filed an emergency motion. Blocked the sale for unreturned property. A list he padded like a grocery run. Grandma's armoire, wedding china, and in bold, neon orchard. A 9-foot neon and glass wall piece he'd bolted up 2 years ago. It throws hot pink and acid green like a nightclub hiccup. I'd quietly loathed it, but I let it live above the sofa because I was tired then, and the fights weren't worth the color headache." Dana's eyebrows barely twitched. "Fixtures are fixtures," she said. "We'll return it, but removal must be licensed." She compiled receipts, photographs of the installation where he drilled through plaster into furring strips, his text bragging about the transformer he borrowed from the office, the electrician's note recommending a junction box cap if the unit ever moved. She wrote a simple solution in the motion response. Petitioner will gladly coordinate removal. Option A, license deinstallation, patch, paint, $3, $900, deducted from respondent's proceeds. Option B, junk haul, $500, also his. She slid in a color print of neon orchard. Even the judge winced. At the hearing, Shark tried pathos. "This is his art, Your Honor. A deeply personal piece." Dana didn't smile. "It's also a bolted fixture. We're not yanking it off with a screwdriver." She tapped the contractor quote and a painter's estimate on letterhead. The judge, a different one this time, same efficient energy, glanced at the photo, then at me. "Do you want this thing?" I said, "No, Your Honor." She looked at Tyler. He spread his hands. "It's mine." The judge nodded once. "Fine. Remove it professionally at your expense. Do not stall the sale. The armoire and china can be retrieved by appointment with counsel present. No contact outside counsel." "Thank you," Dana said, voice like a receipt printer. We left with a signed order. Removal within 7 days or deemed abandoned. The buyers chose removal. They loved the light but not the club glow. A licensed crew arrived in boot covers, took photos, killed the power at the subpanel, and eased the neon down like it was a temperamental animal. The wall behind it breathed for the first time in 2 years. And then someone said, "Huh!" Behind the neon, damp, the outline of the transformer, a dark square, sat in a halo of old moisture that spidered out toward the corner. A leak from a long-ago windowsill had bled into the drywall, and neon orchard had worn it like makeup. The inspector missed it because the piece covered everything and the infrared at the initial walkthrough saw only the transformer's heat signature. When the crew peeled back a hand-sized patch, the gypsum crumbled like cake. I called Dana. She said 2 words, "Disclose now." Sarah drafted an addendum with photos. The buyers stayed in if we credited remediation. A mold specialist tested, found elevated spores near the sill and mapped a plan. Cut out a swath of drywall, treat studs, new insulation, repaint. Quote, $8,000 rush. I sent the invoice to Dana with 1 line, half to Tyler. He objected in all caps via his attorney. She caused this with her removal. Dana forwarded his own texts bragging he found the perfect spot to hide the ugly corner 2 years ago. She added the installation date and a weather claim I filed 18 months back for a different window. Proof the building had known issues. "Causation is not a mood," she wrote. Shark went quiet. The judge signed an order allocating the credit 50-50, deducted from proceeds. We closed a week later, the neon gone, the wall patched, the air sweeter. The young couple sent a note with a key emoji. "Thank you for being straight with us." I put the closing packet in the blue file box under a new tab. Sale. Dana wired my share, already minus the $4,000 Tyler's half of remediation and his own removal costs. A line item anchor for his art. He texted, "Enjoy your windfall." I replied, "Enjoy your orchard." 2 days after funding, a delivery truck idled outside Max's townhouse. On the curb, swaddled in moving blankets, stood the neon. Unplugged, dim, insect-like without its glow. I took a photo from my car, filed it under chorus/orchard, and let the engine idle. The light changed. I drove on, windows down, a breeze threading the cab where a headache used to live. Tyler's uncle owns a chain of garages and thinks contracts are cudgels. He called my boss at 8:12 a.m., chest puffed, and said, "Fire the troublemaker or lose our fleet work." My boss, Elena, listened for exactly 27 seconds, then said, "We don't do extortion," and hung up. She walked to my desk, set a LaCroix beside my keyboard like a shield, and told me, "Stay clear of the mess, but be careful. His family plays dirty." I opened a new folder, work/incidents, and typed a memo. Date, time, summary, Elena's quote. Nights got heavy after that. 6 pounds gone, heartbeat kicking at 2 a.m. like a foot against drywall. I kept a paper bag on the nightstand and a bottle of magnesium gummies like superstition. After the restraining order denial and the Neon Orchard credit fiasco, Shark finally emailed, "Our side is amenable to mediation." Dana replied with 3 dates, picked a neutral downtown with glass walls and a coffee machine that hissed like a cat. Boldest touch, Melanie sat in the lobby for support, scrolling and angling her phone so we'd see the screen when we passed. She wore conference chic and a lanyard from a summit that didn't exist. I noted the time, 9:02, and wrote, "Support animal present." We spent the morning in separate rooms with a mediator who spoke in weather. "There's some turbulence on their side," he'd say, dropping a printout of their ask. Headline: Appreciation on my condo during the marriage. $140,000. They wanted half. $70,000. Fine, math is math. Then came their drama line. 4 years of rehabilitative alimony for career and emotional damage. Dana slid over his pay stub from last month. Line item: merit increase 8%. Effective the week after the San Antonio work trip. So much for damage. The mediator scratched a cloud on his pad and said, "That complicates the narrative." We opened our packet. Spreadsheet tabs, equity, furniture, credits, fees. I conceded what made practical sense. He could take the sectional couch he loved, FB Marketplace comp, $550. The Weber grill, $180 on last sold. The old dining table with wobble leg, $120 if you bribe the buyer with delivery. I kept my dad's walnut desk, not for sale. The good queen mattress, bought by me pre-marriage, receipt attached. And the Samsung TV, serial ending 3392. For the condo appreciation, I offered a clean buyout. $70,000 less his already deducted share of mold remediation and the neon removal costs, less half of closing fees. Net $64,200. Payable by wire at final decree. They tried to pump air into value. Shark produced a letter from a gallery I'd never heard of. Typed in Comic Sans Sin, no letterhead, merely, "To whom it concerns," claiming Neon Orchard had a fair market value of $22,000. Dana slid the buyer's removal invoice, $3,900, the remediation credit, $8,000, and a screenshot of the neon, inert on Max's curb, tagged by a neighbor. "Anyone want this?" Numbers 8, the fiction. The mediator underlined 22K twice, then crossed it out. At lunch, Elena pinged me, "FYI, Uncle called purchasing." We logged it. HR open ticket HR 60219. 5 minutes later, HR emailed, "We have no intention to intervene in private domestic proceedings. Report of attempted vendor pressure documented." I forwarded both to Dana and the mediator. He murmured, "External pressure rarely helps them." Round 3, Shark floated joint debt review and tried to include my student loan from 2014. Dana pointed to dates, shrugged. Premarital. Hard no. He pivoted to attorney's fees, asking I pay his. Dana offered mutual walkaway on fees if we closed today and executed non-disparagement. No posts, no smears, no late-night Instagram poetry. I added a clause. No third-party harassment, family included. The mediator raised his eyebrows. Ambitious. Dana said, "Necessary." By 3:11 p.m., the money knot loosened. We signed a mediation memorandum with clean math. 1. Condo appreciation $140,000, $70,000 to him. Net $64,200 after agreed credits. 2. No alimony. 3. Each keeps retirement in own name. 4. Car, Subaru, confirmed mine alone. 5. Electronic split by serial number list. 6. Couch/grill/table to him by Saturday at 10 a.m. with a mover present. 7. Mutual non-disparagement and no contact except via counsel. 8. Work interference prohibited. 9. Neon orchard, acknowledged as his personal property already removed. No further claims. Wire to be initiated within 10 business days of decree or 6% post-judgment interest. We walked out at 4:02. Melanie pretended to yawn. Then Stage whispered, "So brave of you to monetize your pain." I looked at her lanyard and said, "So brave of you to print your own badge." Dana tapped my elbow toward the elevators. In the garage, my phone buzzed. Venmo request from Max for $44. Memo: good faith drinks for the boys. Decline. Screenshot. File under chorus. I sat in the car, breathed through the last of the shakes, and texted Elena, "Thanks for the LaCroix. Mediation done." She wrote, "Good. Ship the code. Ignore the circus." I turned the key. The dash clock read 4:19. The city felt like paperwork that finally balanced. Final math lands like a stamped envelope. We sit in Dana's conference room with the blinds angled to kill glare and my blue file box open. Tabs frayed from use. Spreadsheet on the screen. His $70,000 share of appreciation. Less agreed credits. Line 1, mold remediation credit for $1,000, his half. Line 2, licensed removal of neon orchard, $1,950, his half. Line 3, joint card charges he ran up during the work trip. Airfare upcharges, spa, pool bar, late-night room service, $5, $600. Net to him, $58,450. Dana reads totals like weights. Tyler exhales as if he's been holding breath since the first gavel. Unfair. I poured my soul into that space. Dana closes the file. You bolted neon into drywall. We sign without trial. The mediator's memorandum becomes a typed decree. Initials in margins. Dates in the footer. The wire instructions go to escrow at 10:07 a.m. My phone chimes at 1:22 p.m. Incoming wire, sale proceeds. Amount, $. The sand settling in a glass. I transfer the agreed amount for him to the disbursement account with a memo, per decree paragraph 7. I take a screenshot and drag it into sale/final. There's no confetti, just a quiet scent. I keep the beige apartment. The extended stay turned month to month. My piece, my dad's desk. The condo is gone. A key emoji text from the young couple pops up with a photo of their dog in the sun patch by the slider. Tongue out like relief. I don't drive by. I don't zoom in. I label their number buyers and archive it. The uncle's pressure wilts. Elena forwards me HR 60,219's closure note. Vendor interference complaint substantiated. No adverse action toward employee. Vendor warned. She writes, "Do your work, you're fine." I close my laptop's lid and the lid doesn't tremble. I ship the code I was supposed to ship 2 sprints ago. Add tests, run CI, watch it pass. At 4:11 p.m., a green checkmark blooms and vanishes. It feels like rinsing a glass until it squeaks. Word travels without me. A regional director's spouse hears the San Antonio version that isn't the press release. Someone screenshots Melanie's rooftop flute and the HR ticket number. She's transferred laterally to a different region, still salaried, just new skyline. Tyler moves back in with his mother for a reset. Max writes on the boys' chat that I'm sure still hums. I don't check. Priya sends me only what's necessary. A single line, "They're recalibrating." And a string of cherries that must mean something to her. I answer with a hammer emoji and then a heart in that order. Saturday at 9:56 a.m. A mover named Lyle arrives with a dolly and a clipboard to take the couch, the grill, the wobbly table. I sign for release, photo each item crossing the threshold. Send the set to Dana. At 10:21 a.m., my door closes on the echo of furniture leaving. The apartment expands. The radiator ticks like a new animal learning its name. I sweep where the sectional sat and find a penny, wheatback 1956. I drop it in the cedar chest. At noon I make a tally in a yellow notebook because paper makes things truer. Retainer $3,500. Extra filing fees $281. Locksmith $214. Staging add-ons $463. Cleaning $190. LaCroix from Elena $0 but priceless. Running total written with a fine Stetler ends in an even digit. I underline it twice and put the notebook under the desk blotter. The last message hits from a new number at 2:03 p.m., exactly 5 minutes after the escrow confirms his disbursement. You wrecked my life over dollars. Hope it was worth it. No punctuation after dollars. He always ran out of air there. I look at the rectangle of gray text and realize he still doesn't hear. He never did. Not the quiet offer to keep living separately while he figured out who he was. Not the distinction between authorized user and owner. Not the calendar, the lease, the serial numbers. I forward the message to Dana with 2 words, per decree, and block the number. The bubble turns to "You blocked this contact." I put the phone face down on the counter next to a bowl of lemons and the spare new keys. Evening arrives without performance. I open a window, listen to a basketball thud on asphalt 2 courtyards away. Let the breeze move the eucalyptus I didn't throw out. Not yet. I pull the last books from a box, manuals mostly. A DIY wiring guide, a paperback on trusts my aunt once highlighted in pink, an old cookbook with a gravy stain like a map. I shelve them left to right, tallest to shortest, because order is a language I still speak. I eat toast with salted butter standing up, rinse the plate and set it in the rack. Not a happy ending, an accurate one. Mine. At 9 p.m., I flick off lights room by room and the place settles. New keys on the hook blinking nickel in the dim. I lay down on the good mattress, watch the ceiling turn from blue to gray, and hear the exact sound of nothing. No second toothbrush clacking in a cup, no suitcase zipping for a summit, no neon hum drowning the wall. The quiet hits harder than any fight. It's not an echo. It's an answer.